All right, today my person of the week. Today's my person of the week is none other than my amazing, beautiful daughter, Lexi. Say hi, Lexi. So I chose Lexi this week for my person of the week because, sorry about all the background noise, because Alexis is an amazing mother. She has 3 children, and one on the way.
Once again, just to clarify, my person of the week for my Magic is Real series is none other than my daughter, Alexis.
One
here we
baby
go.
on the way. And so, Alexis, I was just going to talk to you about motherhood. When you were younger, I could never imagine you being a mother of 1, let alone 3 children. And I remember when you were in the hospital having Boogie, I was a nervous wreck because I was like, oh my God, she's gonna have a problem having him and whatnot. But can you tell me a little bit? This is gonna be it. Can you tell me a little bit about I think you're a really good mother. I think you have a very lax mother approach as opposed to how I raised you. So, tell me a little bit about what you thought about when you first had your Boogie. What was your first thought when you had Boogie, your grandson? My grandson.
I was kind of scared of being a mother because I was like, he has to depend on me for everything. How am I going to do this? But then when I got home with him and we got into a routine, it was fun, and I just started to it was just something that just came naturally to me. And I never realized how much you could love a little child. Like, I never realized when I was pregnant with him that I would love him so much. And we just had fun spending time together. I love taking care of him, and I was so happy to be a mother for the first time.
Okay, and I think that your mothering style is amazing. Like, you don't, and even when you would babysit like Angela's kids, my nieces and nephews, you would have a very calm approach with them. You would never yell at them. You never raise your voice at them. You talk very calmly. And that's the same thing that you do with your children. And me, I was more like my mother. I was always fussing and being strict and whatnot. And what did you think of compare your style of mothering to my style of mothering? What did you think about when you would do something and I'd be like, oh my God,
Well, I think that sometimes kids do need to have a more stern. Hear you be more stern.
Okay.
Just so that they will take you seriously, but I wanted to just be more relaxed with the kids, but also I did want to discipline them at the same time, but I wanted them to be comfortable with me, and I still want them to be comfortable enough to tell me anything. I want us to be able to talk about everything, so that's why I am the way that I am with them.
Okay. And I was going to ask you, I know that I remember when you first transitioned to high school and stuff like that, I let you go out more and do more things and stuff like that. And I could tell that you were very comfortable hanging out with your friends and stuff like that. And you started going to parties, and you started you played basketball, you cheered, you danced, you did everything in high school that I think anybody could possibly do. Yeah. And what did you think when you first? I know you were nervous as heck when you got to high school. You were like, oh, I'm nervous, I'm shaking like a noodle. And what did you think of that transition from grade school to high school? And did you feel very sheltered as a child? Did you feel like you were really sheltered as a child?
Yes, I felt really extremely sheltered, especially when I first started going to public school. But then when I transitioned from middle school to high school, I was so nervous, and I didn't know how I was going to do it because I didn't know anyone, and all of the freshmen there knew everyone from previous schools. So, but that first day when I told you I didn't want to go to cheerleading, the tryouts, and you told me that I was going to go, I met my 2, who would become my 2 best friends in high school, and I just, after that, I was just extremely comfortable, and I loved it.
Are you talking Maggie and Kyrie?
It was Amanda and Maggie.
Okay.
I mean Amanda and Jennifer.
Okay. Yeah, I remember when you first cheered. You were very quiet, and one of the cheerleaders ran up to my car and they said, "We told her she had to scream to become a cheerleader. She actually screamed and she got it." And I was so happy for you. I was like very happy. I said, "I was just gonna have a great high school," because that was your freshman year.
Yeah, those were fun times. I really enjoyed being a cheerleader my freshman year.
And then you went to you did everything in school. You played basketball, you cheered.
Yeah.
And then you went on to let's go on to college. So
gonna play.
You gotta be good and be quiet.
yeah. So and then I remember I remember when I started flying. I started flying. I forgot what year you were in, but I think you were about to start college. You were in your senior year of high school. Yeah. I remember I missed your homecoming. I wanted to see you cheer at the homecoming game, and I didn't get to do that because you were because you were cheering at the homecoming game, and I get to see it because I started flying.
Yeah.
So, how did you feel? I know that when I was younger, oh my God. When I was younger, and I always had 2 jobs, you didn't like it. You would I'd leave you at Angela's house, and you'd be like, "I missed you," and stuff like that. And so, how did you feel when you started staying at Angela's house when I started being a flight attendant, and then you transitioned? How'd you like?
Well, I miss being at home in my room and just being in my usual environment. But I always did love being at Angela's house because of all the noise. It was just comforting. So, but I missed you too because you were gone for like 3 weeks when you first started.
Yeah, the initial training. Yeah. And then that was a transition for both of us, I think, because I remember when I first came out of training, it was in September, and then the first Christmas, after training, I had to leave Christmas Day. I had to leave Christmas Day. That was never. Okay, so we were talking about when I left to go to flight attendant training, and then after you graduated high school, you were like, "Mom, can I stay at home by myself? I'm old enough." And I was like,
Yeah.
I didn't like you staying there without a car. Then I don't remember the sequence of everything, but I think you eventually got the car that we picked out from Honda, J. Wolf Honda. And you started driving your car after a little bit because I was very nervous to let you drive. I was so overprotective. I remember I had to drive with you at first in the car.
Yeah. And
drive to school. And then I had to let you do that for several times, and I finally let you drive your car to school. How did you feel when you finally drove for your first time in your car by yourself?
I was very nervous, and I was so nervous I only took the roads at first because I was too scared to go on the highway.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then after a while, I decided, let me try driving on the highway, and I did it for the first time, and I was like, oh, it's not that bad, and I started driving on the highway after that every time.
I remember I was nervous about you driving on the highway too, but you did it, and I'm sure it was a lot quicker. Then you yourself started working out at the airport. I remember your first storm, when you started working at the airport, it was a tornado, and you left, and I was like, I really don't want her to go to work, but she has to go to work and learn responsibility, so let her go to work. So you went out to work and you called me. You were scared to tears. You were scared, and you were like, "There's a dark cloud, and I'm just sitting here on the side of the highway." And I forgot specifically what it was, but what was it? You were scared.
It was very dark. I couldn't see anything as I was driving, so I had to stop on the side of the highway. It was raining so hard, and I was just like, "What am I gonna do?" And then I eventually saw other people stop behind me, because they couldn't see as well. So I felt better. I was like, okay, I'm not the only one. And I called my boss to tell her that I was trying to make it to work, but I was stuck because of the rain. And she was like, it's okay, just come in when you can. And so I just waited for that to die down and went ahead and went into work.
Yeah, I was so proud of you because you handled that very well. You had a few situations. Is it filming? You had a few situations when and I remember when I was gone out of town one time, and this was new, this was still new, and there's a tornado that touched down when I was flying. I think I was doing just a day trip, and I flew out of town, and I was coming back, and there's a tornado. Yeah. And you were driving around with your cousin in a tornado, figuring out which house was safest to go to. Yeah. And I think Mom, your grandmother, called and said, "Wait, are you supposed to be driving around in a tornado to, from house to house?" And so, tell us a little bit about that.
We, I had called my cousin, and I was like, there's a tornado, and I was asking her, because she was in an apartment on the top floor, if she wanted to come over, and so she asked, could I come pick her up? I came to pick her up, and took her to my place because we had a basement. We stayed in the basement for a little while, waited, listened to the little radio that we had to see if it was okay to come up.
And ate all my Rice Krispie treats I ate.
Yeah, we ate the Rice Krispies, and then I think that I actually had to go to work that day too, because I had on my uniform.
That. Yeah. I don't know if I told you to call in that day or not.
Yeah, you told me to call in, and I thought you were saying to go in, so I went in.
I remember that. Okay, and then this is when you were in college.
Yeah.
And then college years, you went to Maple Woods.
Yeah.
And you were majoring. Your original major was what?
I wanted to be an orthodontist, but then this is low battery. Oh. Then I changed my mind. I didn't know what I wanted to do after that. I was just going.
And then I remember you were a very good dancer.
Yeah.
And so I was like, and everybody always talked about how great of a dancer you were. So to the point where you went from the cheer team to the dance team, back to the cheer team.
Yeah.
And the girls were like, can she make up her mind? What is
I know.
And you were a very good dancer. You could have actually got a scholarship to go for dancing. We should have. I felt bad because I felt like I should have applied for various scholarships for you. Because I feel like you could have had a free college if you would have went for dancing, and academically you were pretty good too. But your senior year, you were like, "Oh, Mom, I have senioritis." So you were still making pretty good. You made the honor roll in high school.
Yeah, I know.
And so I still feel bad about not applying for various scholarships for you to go to school to get a free ride. But then you were at Maple Woods for a couple of years, and then I remember when you met your husband. Yeah. And you were like, you came to me one time when I came off a trip, and you said, "Mom, how can you tell when you're in love with someone?" And I was like, "Well, I said you kind of get butterflies in your stomach, and you just think about them all the time. When they come around, you get chills down your spine." And that's what I was told. So I was like, okay. And so then I was like, well, you said, well, we're not going to get married until we both finish college. And I was like, okay, cool. And then all of a sudden you were like, okay, we're getting married. And I was like, at first I was like, okay, because I didn't think you were really serious. And then you're like, okay, I'm going to go get married. I was like, huh? And then I was like, no, you can't go get married. And I was just like, then I came home from a trip and you were leaving. No, I was going to get gas in your car, and so I could go out of town the next day for you, so you could go to school the next day. And then you were leaving, and I was like, she's leaving. And then you left, and I was so devastated. And I was like, it was like I was just devastated. And then it's just weird how your feelings about something totally changed, after a certain amount of time, because now I'm crazy about your husband. I'm crazy about my grandkids, and the fourth one on the way. Can't wait to meet him or her, and especially at the gender reveal, I guess, coming up soon. But how did you feel going through that transition? How did you feel about my feelings about you when I was like, okay, no, yes, okay, no, yes, no.
I was confused. I was like, wait, she was happy, and then now she's like, no. I didn't know what to think. But I was like, we were really excited because I never even pictured actually that I would get married that soon. I honestly thought I would be like in my 30s or something. But I don't know, it seemed like it happened so fast.
Yeah, because you were nervous. You would always tell me when you were in high school, I'm nervous around boys. What do you do to not be nervous around boys?
Yeah, I was extremely nervous, but I was never really nervous around him, except for our first date when we went to the park. That I was nervous, but after that I wasn't. So I was like, that's weird. I'm not nervous around him, but I'm usually nervous around guys.
When did you realize that he was the one that you were going to probably spend the rest of your life with and have children by? When did you realize that? And when did he realize that about you?
I think he realized that like after our first date, but I didn't know because I just didn't know what love was. But then I realized that I was in love with him because I was like, it feels just like so weird when we're apart. And then I said, I feel like we both said we feel like we've known each other for years. And
like it was meant to be.
Yeah, it was like, I asked him one time, I was like, doesn't it feel like I've known you, like we've known each other for forever? He was like, yeah, I felt the exact same thing. So that's when I knew.
I remember I was so hurt when you left, and I was so sad for a long time. I would just walk around like, oh my God, my child, because I was an empty nester. I wasn't used to being without you in the house and telling you, hey, clean up your room or do the dishes, and it was just so odd to where I would just go to the gym and I would go to 24-hour fitness. Thank God I stayed open for 24 hours, and I'd work out there. Then I'd go to Hy-Vee and hang out at Hy-Vee for a couple of hours, walk around the store talking to people. Then I'd go to Quick Trip, and then I'd go to Quick Trip and talk to people outside of Quick Trip. I made a lot of friends during that time out of Quick Trip, and then we just talk about all kinds of stuff. And I finally get tired. I'd have to go home really tired, and I'd go home tired and go to sleep, then wake up the next day and do the same thing, except for when I was going flying. So it was just odd, but it's just weird being an empty nester after being, having children around. That's when I'm like, I should have had more than one child. And I remember growing up, you always asked me about having another child. You were like, now I wish you were a twin, like you had a twin sister. But you'd be like, oh, can we have another brother and sister? I'd be like, no. And I so totally regret not having another child now. So you always told me that you wanted a big family when you got older and got married. And you wanted like 6 kids, and you're almost to 6 kids, but do you feel like being a single only child made you want like more children? Yeah. Okay. Because you didn't want them to feel the same way you did.
Well, no, not because of that. Well, I was bored sometimes, but it was just because I always just imagined a big family, like the loud noise, like the kids running around playing and the parents yelling at them, stop running. And
like at Angela's house.
It was because when I went over there, the kids would be running around. It just looked like so much fun, them hanging out with each other. And then I was like, I want that when I have kids. I want my kids to have, siblings to play with.
And yes, and you're so content with your kids. I can tell that when they're running around and playing, you're very happy for them and stuff like that. Yeah. And I can tell that you're happy that they're not the only child. Yeah. And I'm glad that you have more than one child too. And I'm glad that I have 3, almost 4 grandchildren. Yeah. And you definitely made up for what you were lacking with me not having but one child. And I totally regret. That's another thing I totally regret too. I just wanted to ask you about that. And then, what was the last thing? I was just gonna say, what would you tell a young girl today that is in school, high school, college, whatever, and that wants to pursue her college dream, but then she met this young man that she's like smitten by, and she's like, oh, I want to get married. I want to go ahead and get, what would you tell her today?
Well, I think that if it's meant to be, that it will work out eventually, and if that's what you really want to do, that you should go for it. Because when I was in college, I wasn't sure if that's what I really wanted to do. I didn't really know what I wanted, so I didn't see a point in continuing. But I think that if you're young and you have dreams or goals, that you should definitely pursue them. And if you find somebody that you're in love with and it's in love with you, that they'll help you pursue those dreams as well.
Exactly. Like the story about Mom and Daddy, how they got married, they had a child, and then he encouraged her to go back to school like she wanted to. Yeah. And he accommodated her in every possible way that he could, even up to graduation. So I agree with you. And I just, like I said, I think that you're an amazing mother. I think you are and it hurts my pride to say this, but I think you're a much better mother than I wish I would have had a more calm approach to raising you. I wish I wasn't so fussy and like, oh, clean your room. And I could have had a nicer tone, like you're like, like my granddaughter, when I'm saying something to my one granddaughter, she goes, "Oh no, don't say it like that. Say it like this. You go do that, okay?" You know, she corrects me, but she's emulating the way that she sees you talking to them. It's a real nice, kind, you know, loving approach as opposed to like the strict, hardcore, you know, approach. And I love that. I love that. But I was emulating how I was, you know, raised. And
those times
are over.
Definitely more.
Yeah. So I admire your mother style, and I think that you and Andrew make great parents together, and I see why it's so important now to have a husband and a wife. And I know that you had some feelings about being raised by a single mother, and I felt bad too that I was a single mother. Can you just touch on that? How did you feel about being raised by a single mother as opposed to having two parents?
Well, when I was younger, I was confused, like why my dad wasn't there, just because the other kids in school, when I saw both of their parents were there, even if they weren't together, their parents would be there for like school recitals or whatever. And I was like, why is my dad not here? And I saw that it was hard for you to take care of me by yourself. And I was just really angry at him. And I told myself when I got older that I would never be a single mother. I would like meet someone who was really in love with me and wanted to, you know, raise a family. And so that's why that was like really important for me to have a mom and dad in my kids' lives.
So you took my mistake. I love the fact that you took my mistakes and you took basically lemons and made lemonade to improve upon your situation. I love the fact that you did that, because I'm so glad that you have a husband that, you know, that you were raising the kids together, that you all are a great couple, great, beautiful family. I love that.
Yeah, and it makes me happy seeing how the kids react to him. Like, just even when he comes home, they're just so excited, and they have like a really close relationship with him.
Yeah. Do you feel kind of like you were cheated out of a dad, being that your dad wasn't around? Yeah. Even though you had Angela, my sister, and your aunt, her and her husband, but then when they started having children themselves, I felt bad because I think you felt bad because you started kind of getting ignored. Yeah, like you were pushed like a old toy. And I think that made you feel bad when they started having kids, and we're like, well, we don't have time for you anymore, Alexis. And I felt so bad for you then too. So I was like, but I think you've recovered very nicely, and you're doing amazing now, and you're doing amazing things. And I wanted you to show some of your artwork because you are a upcoming artist.
Yes, I've been practicing.
Yeah, she's beginner. Like you're as good as an artist as Angela is, and Angela's been drawing for years. And I remember you said Mr. Brock, Angela's art teacher, when he saw your drawings, he was like, wow, she's not an artist like Angela, but now you are. I think Mr. Brock would be very proud of you now, because I sent you back to the old high school that I went to, a Catholic high school. Touch on that. What did you think about the Catholic high school I sent you back to?
Well, when we first, when I was in the 8th grade and you took me to look at those high schools, there was, I think, 3 high schools. The first 2, I did not really feel like there was a connection to it. And then when I went to Bishop Ward, I really just loved it. Like the people, the environment, I felt like it was a place for me. And when I got there, it was just I was just so happy that I chose that high school to go to. It was a lot of fun, and I made some good friends. Yeah, the high school, Bishop Ward High School, is a high school that I attended. And we would go to Blessed Sacrament first, and pretty much all the kids from Blessed Sacrament knew that in high school we were going to Bishop Ward. So I felt very comfortable sending you not to the schools in North Kansas City, but to the high school that I went to, the Catholic high school that I went to and graduated from in KCK, because there were people that I knew from grade school, teachers and everything, teachers that taught us. So you got to experience some of the same teachers that me, Angela, and Clint experienced at Bishop Ward. And I thought, did you think that was cool, meeting some of the same teachers? Yeah, I thought it was cool because you told me, I believe Mr. Schneeweiss was your teacher. Yeah. And I know Mr. Brock taught Angela, so I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah. So going back to, I don't think you particularly care for going to Mass and saying the Hail Mary and all that, but I was that wasn't like, anything. What? Kneeling and saying the Hail Mary and standing up. And, yeah. That was new to me. Yeah, but you handled it well, and you did really good in high school, and
you moved on. Like I said, you became an amazing parent, and I want to thank you for taking time out to interview with me. It was kind of hectic at first because the kids were out here and they were running in and out and screaming and hollering as grandchildren, the young kids do. But I thank you very much for taking time out to interview with me, and congratulations on all of your wonderful attributes, being a mom, being an amazing wife, being an amazing parent, amazing child, and I'm just very proud of you. I must say I'm extremely proud of you. Like I said, I had a lot of animosity at first, but I take it all back now. You know how time changes things. Time really does change things and feelings, and amazing. Did you think I'd ever get to the point where I was like where I'm at now? Because I was so...
No, I was like, I don't know when. I never would have thought that like we would be like hanging out with the kids and Andrew together. Like, I thought you would always be upset.
Yeah, you get over that. I think grandkids change things. But again, thank you for taking time out. I love your little pregnant jumpsuit you have on.
Thank you.
And you look amazing. And thank you so much for taking time out of your Saturday to talk to me, your mother.
Yes.
But which I wouldn't have expected any different. But I do appreciate your time. Say bye.
Bye.